Hi, everybody. It's Professor Mitchell. We are continuing with Chapter 6 on ratio, proportion, and percent. And today we're talking about applications of percent. The objectives in this section are to solve applications involving percent and find percent increase and percent decrease. All right, so for the first example, 18% of Frank's wages are withheld for income tax. Find the amount withheld from Frank's wages of $3,680 per month. So what we want to do with this is translate it into a percent problem, the kind you've seen in the last two sections. Notice it says 18% of Frank's wages. And over here it says Frank's wages are $3,680. So really they just want me to find out what is 18% of 3,680. All right, so you know two methods for doing this. You can either translate it into an equation using x, which is what they did here, or using n. And you can also use the proportion method. So you'll see that in, I think it's the next example. All right, so remember of becomes times, is becomes equals. What number is the variable? 18% becomes 1800ths, changing that percent into a decimal. And now you can just ask your calculator, what is 1800ths times 3,680? And you get 662 and 4/10. Remember, that's an amount of money. So we would write that as $662.40 is the amount withheld from Frank's wages. All right, I don't know what happened to example 2. I just noticed that. All right. Mr. Buckaran, the principal of Slidell High School, counted 31 freshmen absent during a particular day. If this is 4% of the total number of freshmen, how many freshmen are there at Slidell High School? All right, so this time we're going to use both methods. Of course, you only have to use one. So this first method would be what we went over in section 6.3, I believe. So as, you know, in terms of writing it as a sentence like this, 31 is 4% of what number? Is becomes equals, of becomes times, what number becomes n? Change 4% into 400ths. And now to solve this equation for n, you would divide both sides by 400ths. And then ask the calculator, what is 31 divided by 400ths? And you should come up with 775. So there are 775 freshmen at Slidell High School. Using the proportion method, you just have to identify the percent, the amount, and the base. Remember that the base is whatever comes after the word of. And then the proportion equation is amount over base equals percent over 100. So as a proportion, this would be 31 over b equals 4 over 100. Cross multiplying. 31 times 100 is 3,100. B times 4. And then we would divide both sides by 4. 3,100 divided by 4 is 775. So no matter which method you use, you should get the same answer. All right, moving on to percent increase and percent decrease. Percent increase is defined as the amount of the increase over the original amount. And then you write this quotient as a percent. So for example, the average soft drink size has increased from 13 1/10 ounces to 19 9/10 ounces over the past 2 decades. And they want us to find the percent increase. So first you find the amount of increase. 19 9/10 minus 13 1/10 is 6 8/10. So we're finding out what percent is that of the original amount, 13 1/10. So if you ask your calculator what is 6 8/10 divided by 13 1/10, it comes up with this number, approximately 0.5191. And then write that as a percent. And you know on your homework, they usually specify how many decimal places do they want in the percent. So they've rounded it to the nearest tenth of a percent, which would be 51 9/10%. Percent decrease is the same idea. You just do the amount of the decrease as a percentage of the original amount. One thing to understand about percent decrease, when they ask you for the percent decrease, that should always still be a positive percent. The word decrease is taking care of the negative. So John Smith decided to decrease the number of calories in his diet from 3,250 to 2,100. Find the percent decrease. So first we'll find the amount of the decrease. So notice that's the larger number minus the smaller number, comes out to 1,150. As a percentage of the original amount, which is 3,250, that comes out to about 0.3538. To the nearest tenth of a percent, that would be 35 4/10%. And that takes care of section 6.5.